areas, correct?
Yes, would agree.
Thank you.
All right, finished on that page?
Yeah.
Councillor Bernard?
Well, on page 13, the last sustainability, I wonder whether, in fact, to ensure that future growth is delivered in a sustainable manner, but then you say in terms of delivering efficient infrastructural solution and embracing environmental sustainable design. But what about affordability?
Good one.
I guess we assume that the affordability aspect was included within that term efficient.
Oh.
But more than happy to insert the word affordable as well.
Yeah,
I'll throw it open to my colleagues and see what they think.
I think it's a very important point.
Basis of sustainability.
So what do you want? What do you want the words changed to? Read it out to me.
Well, I would like to include affordability as part of sustainability.
So to ensure the future growth is delivered in an affordable and sustainable manner.
Yes.
So you leave the words lines to me. I'll sort you out.
Wonderful.
Righto, page 14. We shouldn't say too much about that. Are you happy with that fish, or is someone going to dispute that?
Which one of the fish there? There's two good.
I like the fish.
Well, there's the mother and the baby there, I suppose. Are you happy with the colour?
I love it too.
Well, gee, that next one on the next page, that fish has changed colour. Didn't realise it was orange.
I don't actually like that fish, sir.
That's the British
Never had.
fish.
Look
It's a
like-
variety of trout we don't even have here.
We're on page 16, people. Actions and priorities. Councillor Kelly?
A couple of quickies. Under physical work projects, these projects will require groundwork. I think we've got a typo there. And just a suggestion on the bottom paragraph, before too much pressure is placed on the existing car parking resource. Just a clarification.
Clarify the on-ground. I guess what we were saying there was that those are physical works that actually happen on the ground as opposed to other planning projects. I think that was correct. Perhaps it's not worded well,
No.
but everything will need more groundwork, if you know what I
Yeah.
mean. But so perhaps we'll just clarify that the projects are made up into physical work and more planning work.
Righto.
Thank
Any
you,
other
Mr.
comments
Chairman.
on that page?
Yeah.
Councillor Vaughan?
Up at the top, in the box, Robert Street realignment, streetscape improvements and piazza. Could I suggest that instead of using the word piazza at this stage, we call it either expanded public space or pocket park, as Mr. Williams suggested, or something. If you begin to talk about a piazza and what is currently a restaurant zone, it looks like pizza. People are going to ask, what is a piazza? It is. You're coming from within your level of knowledge, but I would beg to differ that a lot of
What did
people
we
out
actually
there don't
discuss
know.
when we discussed this?
Yeah.
We did spend a little time on this area.
The resolution refers to a piazza,
Yeah.
so we've carried
Right.
on along that
That's fine.
frame.
It's in the
What we could do is
Glossary?
similar to the way that we'll define town centre and town centre environment earlier.
Yeah.
We'll provide a definition on that page.
Some
and a
people
text
might think
glossary.
that. Some people might think that's something that you eat that was divided in Italy.
The definition of piazza is a plaza of Italian origin, so perhaps it's a plaza we change it to, but they are terms that are in the Oxford Dictionary, really.
Yeah, but I think, your average Joe Bloggs isn't going to sit there with the Oxford in his hand, so let's make it so they can read
We'll
it
make
and
it super
understand
clear.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, you need to, because like my grandson, he went to church the other day and I made a comment to him about, well, how's Pastor Whitaker today? He said, Papa, I don't eat pasta all the time. So let's get it right. Councillor Hickley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just in the priority works, 2012 to 2017, we haven't identified the laneways and service lanes. Now, I know that's identified a bit further back in the plan, but that is one of the projects, or should it not be in that list?
The second to last line in that table talks about laneway improvements, and we've put both the laneway improvements and the monitoring of the car parking at the bottom because they're ongoing projects throughout the life.
Yeah, I'm talking about in the box.
Well, the intention is that because they'll be ongoing throughout both the short and the medium term, we've pulled them out rather than state them twice.
we've got three categories: short-term, medium-term, and ongoing work. We've already started on and already got a bit of budget on, and we're already working on. And so laneways actually, if you wanted to, you'd have it up the top because it's actually already being worked on.
Yeah, actually, I think that would be a good idea, just to put that at the top.
Because the service lanes are a little bit later, aren't they, in terms of what we've talked about. We've talked about the laneways being the first priorities and the service lanes coming a little bit later.
All right, Councillor McKelvey?
Yeah, look, just coming back to this piazza thing, there are a number of councillors here today who were not here when the discussion took place. Quite a considerable discussion about what we might call that improved public space associated with Robert Street and the Colonel Roberts Reserve. We didn't come to a conclusion. We didn't make a resolution about it. But the point that I would like to make is in this document we are forever saying we want to be proud of our district culture, our district heritage. Now, this is not Italy. This is Taupo. This is Taupo, New Zealand. And I really think that we should perhaps try and use another term by the time we get to the end of today, Mr. Chairman. Somebody may have thought of a good one. But to incorporate European terms when we're trying to encourage our own distinctive urban character, I don't think it actually promotes that philosophy.
I've made a start on some definitions, so if you leave it with me, I'll pull them up and see where I got so far.
Just before I go any further discussion, the Mayor's got something important to tell us.
Just an important announcement for everybody in here. Mr Green and Mr Williams probably won't be returning for quite some time. We've now got a request from Christchurch to organise to get staff down to Christchurch to help the people down there with building inspectors, etc., to find out if houses are safe or unsafe and bits and pieces. And you're back in already, and I was just putting in your apology.
Sorry. We're sending a team of 4 inspectors down, Mr Mayor.
Okay, cool. So that I was putting in your apology, and Mr Williams then, sir. You're back already, so there you go.
All right, so it looks like it's a lot more serious than what they originally thought.
They've just had a 6 down there this morning, which is shaking a lot more buildings and stuff.
I saw the news last night, and they seem to think they could handle it all, but if they're asking requests from a little old town like Taupo, things must be... It's either that or our inspectors are pretty switched on.
I've asked for 16 more inspectors nationally, Mr Chairman, to be filled as much as they can. So.
Yeah, let's just come over the phone.
Well, it was Councillor Gathergood, then Councillor Downer, then Councillor Fucking.
Thank you. I've just got a comment to make about the ongoing laneway improvements and the ongoing monitoring of town centre parking demand. In the short term, in the medium term, when you're talking about Tongariro Street improvements, you could perhaps put the laneway improvements, add the laneway improvements in the Tiri Raupenga changes in priority for intersections. If you're talking about laneways, you could add it to what's in box 1, in box 2. A suggestion.
I think that's what you were going to do once you put it up the top.
It seems that by putting them at the bottom, we've kind of lost sight of them a little bit. Would it help actually if we move those 2 right to the top?
Yes, please.
Right. We'll do that.
But it's important because we're already doing that work, whereas short term is yet to be decided and won't until 2012. So we'll swap them over and...
All right, Councillor Dennett?
I'm just amazed at Councillor McKelvey just on that piazza. I mean, it's something that we've used all the way through, right from the beginning of the commercial structure plan, even Village Well, when they were doing a presentation right at the beginning. So I don't know why we've been stuck on that work.
I don't think Councillor McKelvey was the one who raised it. It was Councillor Uvagan who raised it.
Yeah, but then Councillor McKelvey just brought it back
Well,
up.
that's all right. We're looking at it. Thank you, Councillor Uvagan.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to the piazza too and just say that at that meeting that a lot of people were not present. There were many other words. There were... Excuse me, Mr Chairman,
Thank
could I
you,
please
Councillor.
finish?
Yes.
That there were many other terms and terminology that was included as well that were discussed on that day, and that was including things like lakeside or lakefront esplanade, lakeside or lakefront promenade, etc. So maybe we can look at things like that as well.
All right, come on. I don't want to get too picky here today with some of these words. Let's concentrate on the main thing. Councillor McKelvey.
Yeah, I'm happy to move on. Mr Gibbs has given us a determination that he's going to look up something fantastic, I think. I'd like to go on to page 17, the last paragraph, if I may, Mr Chairman.
Which paragraph?
The last paragraph on page 17. Now, I know that we are trying to do integrated policy across all divisions, and I have on more than one occasion commended our Chief Executive and the senior management team for this. But I'm very concerned at the tone and the way in which this is written, particularly the bottom green box, where it says across from that, the Tongariro Domain Management Plan reflect directions from the structure plan. And what I'm suggesting is, whoa, we've got a Local Government Act policy planning, high-level planning document, which is extremely helpful, but there are other laws and consultation processes that must work within that and not necessarily under it, such as Reserve Act and the Resource Management Act. And what I'm suggesting is that the structure plan gives high-level direction subject to other community consultation processes. So I think that's very, very important. For example, and I'm going to give another example that's not on page 17, when we held a very controversial and interesting debate about whether or not the southern side of Spa Road from the Spa Road roundabout up to Taupo Street should be proposed to be rezoned high-density residential, we all made the point that that was subject to the community consultation process required under RMA. And that may or may not happen. This document does not dictate. This document gives high-level planning direction subject to other processes. So I wonder if the staff could give me some reflection on that as to whether or not they could amend those, the bottom green box and the last sentence. To ensure is a very, very strong word. It may be to encourage or to promote. But LGA, I don't think, stands higher in the priority order, Mr. Chairman. And Mr. Mayor, I don't think it stands higher than either the RMA or the...
Not you, Councillor Downer. I'm talking to the staff, thank you. Very quickly, do you want to make a comment on it?
In terms, I guess two comments. Firstly, in terms of the domain management plan, in terms of a specific comment, we would expect that when we review the domain management plan that it would take into account the directions provided by the structure plan, particularly given that the structure plan is looking at the entire town centre environment, whereas the domain management plan only looks at a particular component of that town centre environment, being the domain. The second point is that in terms of the words, particularly in that last paragraph, I don't see any issue with us changing those to make it clear that many of these other processes have a further consultation requirement. So I think it certainly wouldn't hurt to have that clarity. But there's not much point doing a structure plan if the direction that it provides is not going to be reflected through other pieces of planning and policy work that Council's going to do.
Or at least reflected at the point of review of those documents, and then if that reflection needs refinement in the detailed document, like the district plan example, then you would reflect that. But for example, if there's a decision that perhaps one day there will be a Story Place extension, then it needs to at least be reflected somewhere in the domain management plan. And that's why you've had the debates about where this direction is taking you as far as the domain in this document. And as Nick said, it's important that when you start up here with documents, they at least flow through to some degree.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm very happy with that, because the slightly different words have been used. Take into account and subject to further public consultation.
I was making some notes. Councillor Downer.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just struggle with this. Reflects directions from the structure plan. It doesn't say reflect directions only from the structure plan. I can't understand where all those comments have come from, because everyone interprets the way that they read something. The way that I interpret that, it's just a reflection of, yes, we are going to take some, the Tongariro Domain Management Plan is going to take some direction out of the structure plan. It doesn't say only the structure plan.
Thank you for your comments, Councillor Downard, but like I'm trying to tell you in here, this is your first time going through one of these.